All right, Tyler Perry fans, I went to a Madea family funeral. I wasn't going to go this early because I kept saying I was just going to wait until the weekend or something. But I decided I'm just going to be spontaneous. Let me see if there's any shows. 9:45 Thursday night, February 28th. I walked out of the theater on March 1st, but this was a great movie. I'm not lying, and you all know if you watched any of my other reviews on the Madea films, like the Boo 1, Boo 2, and even talking about Tyler Perry's Nobody's Fool, as well as other Madea movies, or excuse me, other Madea topics that I've talked about on the channel. Like, how I said that I was actually happy that Tyler Perry was retiring the character. I had felt a bit worn out by Madea quite some time ago, just in regards to the same old stick and jokes. But, I was just ready because I'm glad Tyler Perry's ready to move on to the next phase of his career at Viacom and whatnot. So it's just putting Madea to bed and, moving on with other creative, uncharted avenues in his career. But this will be my movie review. And just to give you a couple heads up, this will be a spoiler review because I honestly really don't feel like doing a here's a reaction video and then a week later, once everybody's had a chance to watch a movie, well, here is a spoiler video. No. So this is just my initial reaction. I want to say up front, this movie was a lot better than I thought it would be. I'm not going to lie. From beginning to end, I enjoyed the film. I'm not joking like that. The opening really caught me off guard because of how quickly, the scene just opened. 1 minute I'm watching previews, the next thing you know, the opening scene of this movie felt like I was watching like a Tyler Perry series because, we had a bunch of the characters on screen, talking while the opening credits, if you will, were on the bottom. It almost felt like I was watching the haves and the have-nots where you had the characters in the scene and then the names of the characters pop up. The only difference is there wasn't a theme song. But also another thing I want to point out, Jeremy, why aren't you using like photos and stuff? Well, anytime I do movie reviews or if I even do videos talking about the Tyler Perry film on the channel, is good. But when the movie gets released on home video, then I get stricken with copyright. And that's dumb because I don't even use things from the movie like clips or anything. So just for safety, there's only going to be one photo on the screen. It's going to be Madea from just another film. So it won't be counted as copyright. At least I hope not, because it shouldn't, because whatever. But in any case, let me just talk about my reaction towards the film. I won't get into spoiler stuff just yet. I'll let you know when I do. I do feel like this movie kind of suffered from the same thing that Nobody's Fool did when it came to, well, it wasn't as bad. With Nobody's Fool, I said it was an enjoyable film, but one thing I didn't like was the lack of transition between scenes where it seemed like characters would be one place and then another. I get it. That's common in TV shows and movies, but there's usually like a flow to it where it doesn't feel like we're literally jumping from A to B. Like, for example, 1 minute you have Jesse and man, I'm gonna mess up these names. Jesse and Will, I think, talking on the at the front of the house. Next thing you know, they're at the funeral, and I'm like, wait, what? I think that was a misstep. You kind of jump scenes there, and at the end of the film, like pretty much every Tyler Perry movie, it kind of just ended. And let me say this much: I will be doing a separate video on the ending with my interpretation of what the end of the film meant because it truly was good. I mean, when I was at the theater, I'm like, really? You're going to end it like that? And then I pretty much played it like a Marvel film. I think it was me and maybe 3 other people who stayed until the very end of the credits because, typically with Tyler Perry movies, the movie's over, it fades to black. Then we have bloopers as the end credits roll up. And then I know I was sitting there a good 4 minutes and nothing else popped up. So I was like, oh, okay, because technically the movie did end about at 11:45-ish, but I didn't leave the theater until 12:03 because I'm like, look, we live in a day and age of end credit scenes thanks to Marvel. Well, specifically Iron Man. And I thought that since this was the last Madea film, I thought there would be something special. But here's where we get to a spoiler. Don't listen if you don't want to hear, but then again, this is something that I think you should hear. I was going to do a separate video on this, but I've talked about it until I'm blue in the face. Like, I didn't go into a lot of videos this week. I thought I would be doing a ton of videos in regards to the interviews about the movie, but considering this is a Madea film, I didn't expect to hear anything that I didn't already know or did videos on already, which pretty much I covered most of everything. Plus, if you've been on the channel recently, you know my computer battery situation. Thankfully, it should be arriving this afternoon, Friday, so I'll be able to do videos more frequently. That way my computer isn't going to black out on me. But the big question is, Tyler Perry, does he kill off Madea in this film? And you can click off the video if you don't want to know, but to be honest, I don't think it really matters. But this is your spoiler warning. Tyler Perry does not kill Madea in this film. He does not. The only death in this film is the actual man from the trailer with the pill-induced direction that lasted even after he died. So Madea is not killed off. And the ending was just a bit abrupt, but it was good. But I'll do a separate video on that. I just feel like I talked with a couple people on the way out of the theater. Well, the only couple people who were left in the theater when I left because of the credits. And for the last Madea film, it didn't really feel like there was a lot of finality to it. I believe that's the correct term. But yeah, like I said, not to just ramble on, I will do a separate video with my interpretation of what the ending meant. So the film overall, I really did enjoy it. I think it had a pretty interesting story. And I don't really cry a lot, but I did get a bit worked up during some scenes, not just because of laughter, because there were only maybe less than 20 people in the theater when I went, because I went to the 9:45 showing on a Thursday. So most people don't go to the theaters for movies like this until Friday or the weekend. So it was a mixed crowd. I'd say there were some Hispanic, Caucasian, and, you know, black people like myself. So yeah, it was kind of like trail mix in there, if you will. And there was a lot of laughter. I laughed a lot more I laughed more in this film than I did between the Boo 1 and Boo 2 movies combined. And Nobody's Fool. Like, there were moments in those films, but this film overall, the scenes, and you all know from my previous Madea films, I always talk about how, like in the Boo films, when you have Madea, Joe, Bam, and Hattie together, and then Brian comes in, you know, Tyler Perry comes in, and it's almost like 15 to 20 minutes just nonstop jokes back and forth that really don't stick. Like, there might be a couple of good jokes, but you just sit there for like 15, 20 minutes like, okay, when are we going to the next scene? It's nonstop jokes. No. In this film, I think Heathrow probably helped things. Heathrow, he really made the scenes good as well. For the most part, the jokes are really funny. I was laughing. It was that good. Like, I honestly, it was good. I mean, as with any Tyler Perry film, there are going to be secret affairs, secret lovers. That's what we are. Things between the family. But let me just put it this way. If you have been to a black funeral, if you have dealt with a death in the family, people coming together, the family, friends, people you can't stand, what really got me worked up about the film, because there were some moments I almost cried, only because of certain things that happen in the film that I have seen or experienced with death in the family myself. Because when family members get together, it's usually not for a joyous occasion. And when those occasions happen, people who haven't seen each other for years, for whatever reason, there's always going to be something that comes out. So this movie really didn't. I think Tyler Perry talked about this in the interviews. It's like, I'm not going for any Oscars or anything. This film, it's just a good time. And if you've been to black funerals, this is the movie for you, because it's almost like he took every element of black funerals and then put it in a blender and then poured it out. That was the film. That was the film. There were a lot of elements that you could tell were definitely from the haves and the have-nots. Like, you have one character named Gia, and then you have Quinn Walters, who plays Gia in the haves and the have-nots. She isn't Gia, but her character is kind of Gia-ish in a way. And so it's the character that plays Gia. So you can almost tell that Tyler Perry plucked Gwen out of this movie, gave her the name Gia from the other character, and put her in the haves and have-nots. And RK, I mean, dude, I'm jealous of that guy's hair. I really want to grow mine out and, you know, get a, you know, shape up and everything. Because that guy, I like the hair. I got to get mine like that someday. I want to slim down and then get the hair like that. But I really don't even know what else to say. It was a good film, guys. I'm not lying. I highly recommend going to the theater to get a ticket to show your support, not just for Tyler Perry and Tyler Perry Studios, but for the final Madea film. There were some very strong scenes. I believe the character Vianne, who is the wife of the man that passed away, and I don't want, look, I know I said this would be a spoiler video, but there are just some things you have to watch in the film. Maybe I'll do like a full on spoiler video in next week, you know, that way everybody has a chance to watch it. But even though I said this video does have spoilers, because there are some things I will talk about that will spoil it, but there are some things I don't want to spoil because you really need to watch the film. Like, it's not a big mystery. Like, you pretty much know the flow of the film because, well, it's predictable, but it's still a good ride. Let me just talk about a cameo. And I talked about this way back when this movie was first announced. Remember, it was supposed to come out in 2018, but it got pushed back because Tyler Perry wanted to do Acrimony and Nobody's Fool. And then Madea Family Funeral. And I said Joel Rush, a.k.a. Eddie from If Loving You Is Wrong, is in the film. I thought he would just have a cameo or something like that. But if you don't want a spoiler, again, this is a warning. He plays a police officer who acts just like Eddie when he pulls over Brian or Tyler Perry, and you have Madea, Bam, Hattie, and Joe in the car. When I tell you that this is Eddie from If Loving You Is Wrong, oh, this guy is Eddie from If Loving You Is Wrong. And I was the whole theater was cracking up. And you want to know the best part about this? And I thought I did hear some people talking about, oh my God, when the cops pulled off, Brian was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to turn that guy in. I got a license plate number. His name is Eddie. Yeah, his name is Eddie. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, yo, does that possibly mean that Eddie from If Loving You Is Wrong being in this film is almost a confirmation that Madea is within the continuity of If Loving You Is Wrong? I need to do a separate video on that, because if that's true, oh, that would be amazing. It was a great scene. Then at the very end of the film, there was a special cameo, which I believe a lot of people know about, but it was a bit insignificant in terms of the overall story because this happened during the last 60 seconds, but it was funny. I know the theater was laughing because we didn't expect it, but trying to think if there's anything else that I want to spoil but don't want to spoil. Sheesh. It was a good film. KJ Smith, who played Carol, she's from The Family Business. She is a sweetheart. My gosh. I message her from time to time on Instagram. She is just a joy to talk to, and she's just beautiful in this. Maybe it's the cheekbones. Maybe I'm just attracted to that, but she is, wow, definitely a different character in this film compared to The Family Business. Rome Flynn. I already talked about RK. Jesse. I'm always going to call him RK. Let's see here. I'm looking at the casting list while I'm recording this. That way I don't mess up the names. Yeah, like I said, for the most part, the jokes stuck and made me laugh. There were some internet celebrities, you know, some viral people at the funeral scene. The funeral I love how they kept panning to the clock and showing how much time has passed during certain people up there talking. Guys, I was just laughing my ass off because it was such a great movie. It just like, again, if you are from a black family or if you married into a black family and you've been to several or a couple of funerals, you know what to expect. That's what this film was. I mean, gosh, I honestly don't even know what else to say. Like, literally, it felt like I was watching my family on screen in a lot of ways, and that just made the movie good. And there was some heart, like when Vianne speaks to her children at the what's that called, the repast, or basically after the funeral when everyone goes over to the home of the family to, you know, help them grieve and everything. She has a moment in that, it's towards the end of the film, that really brought the movie home for me. That was a great scene. This wasn't a movie with forced emotion or forced, like, okay, we're going to try to be funny for like 65 minutes and then kind of shoehorn in this, like, you know, life lesson and faith and all this stuff. It really did flow with the overall story, and I feel like that's what really made this movie stick out. So for me, this, I don't know if I can say it's my favorite Madea film, but it is definitely up there. And I'm not just saying that because I came out of the theater like 2 hours ago. It really was good. Way better than the Boo movies, Nobody's Fool, Acrimony. Yeah, I think it was better than Acrimony. Shoot. Well, I think I may need to look over the full list of Madea films before I make the judgment that is my favorite, but it is definitely near the top. I love this film because once again, the jokes for the most part were really good. There were a couple of, excuse me, there was one scene where Bam and Hattie, no, Bam and Medea pulled that. Do you smell that? Do you smell that? And if you watch the play, Medea goes to jail. It's like Kente oil. It was similar to that joke, and it was. And if you know the context, then you know where I'm going with this. But I don't want to reveal too much from the story. But yeah, guys, overall, definitely go out to theaters. Highly recommended. This movie was very funny. I am definitely going to watch it again. I would only go back to the theaters if I went with people, because I went by myself. But I really will buy it when it comes out on DVD and Blu-ray as soon as possible. Like, nobody's fool. You know, I waited a couple of days, but with this, like, no, I'm going to order it, probably pre-order on Amazon or something. But if you have gone to the theater to see a Madea family funeral, let me know what your thoughts were. I don't think it was like the right send off for Madea. This was really the last film, but like I said before, I'm going to record a video right after this one with my thoughts on the ending of the film and what it meant. So, Tyler Perry, I give this, I want to say 2 thumbs up because I enjoyed it. And literally, you could tell by the tone of my voice compared to my other Madea videos, this was actually very good. I am glad I decided to not be myself and just say, Jeremy, just stay in the apartment, just chill for the rest of the night. No, I got my butt up, got dressed, purchased my ticket, printed it out, went to the theater, and had a good time. But I didn't spend money on food, so yeah, I kind of starved, but I wasn't paying $20 for a kernel of popcorn and a sip of Pepsi. So yeah, that's all I gotta say on this. But again, come back to this video after you watch the movie so we can talk about it. Still going through the loops with YouTube right now about copyright strike, because with that strike, I can't do live streams, which sucks because I really want to talk about the film. So thanks so much for tuning in. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much for making it to the end of this video. Be sure to click the thumbs up button if you like what you just saw. And if you have anything you would like to add to the video itself, go down to the comment section below and type out your thoughts. And I also have social media related to the haves and have-nots: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook page, Facebook group. Links to everything will be in the description below. And if you like action figures, video games, and trading cards, I have an eBay store as well where there's free shipping on everything. But I also have a second YouTube channel that I'm working on where I talk about things that are non-Tyler Perry related, such as anime, superhero shows and movies, music, pop culture, and sometimes political news depending on what the circumstances are. Be sure to check out that channel as well. In the top left hand corner, you should see a picture of Candace Young. You can click on her to subscribe to the Haves and the Have-Nots review. We're trying to get to 100,000 subscribers. And if you like the video you just saw, be sure to check out the other 2 videos that should be popping up on the right hand side. Trust me, if you like this video, you'll love them too. Once again, thanks so much for visiting my YouTube channel, and I'll talk to you in the next video.